Fantom has been skyrocketing 3 to 400% since 2022 of November to today. But should we anticipate the market to continue? With the position of Bitcoin right now, are we due some type of correction? Well, today we're going to look at the technical case on Fantom, where the fundamentals are already baked into the price. If you like today's video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's dive straight into FTM. A quick recap with FTM. We did a video literally a year ago, or just over a year ago. And I just wanted to remind you that markets are driven by fear and greed, speculation, and fives and threes, keeping it really, really simple. And often there's just a buying psychology and then a selling psychology, and that pattern tends to repeat. And what we said a year ago is we saw Fantom had this massive surge up, a correction, the next surge up, correction, and then the next move up to the upside, finishing a 5-wave sequence. And then we said we should anticipate some type of 3-wave correction. And now I'm just going to show you what's happened, and then we're going to look at the current price data as well. So let's now just go into a live chart with Fantom. And again, just literally looking at the data, we're going to go back to today's date in a second, but I just wanted to remind you, we did this video here, we did a video over here, and we was anticipating this movement, and look how it's unfolded. Pretty clean all the way down. Got a question mark here because, at the time of this low over here, we're not sure if this will end up being the low, but we had some time and price zones over here, and this is where it was over here. So time-wise, the low was made, and it was deeper than the typical maximum correction zone. And how you want to think about it is, the further a market falls, it's like you personally falling. If you fall down like 3 flights of stairs, 3 stairs, like just that much, you may injure your ankle slightly, but it's easy to get up. But if you drop off a cliff and you bash your head, well, you're going to be in big trouble and it'll take a lot of time to recover. So why I'm telling you that is because Fantom has gone below the typical maximum correction, it's going to take a bit of time for the market to recover. So what we're going to do next with Fantom is we're going to go to today's data. So we want to go right over here, what's happened with the market, and we're going to really focus on this part of the market right now. I'm going to bring up bars again. I was doing a workshop the other day with my community, and we did a deep dive into Fantom, and that's what I want to talk about today. And I just want to bring to your attention the recent price action. The recent price action has gone from like 15 cents to around over 60 cents, right? So that's the 400% increase in price. But we want to ask ourselves the question now, should we expect it to continue to the upside, or are we due some type of correction? Now, it's really important we take into consideration the position of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is like the macro indicator of the entire crypto market. And Fantom, there is no exception over there. And I've just created a brand new Bitcoin membership where I do a weekly report where there's relevant information. And I just did an update yesterday. This is free. You can sign up below. And what I've said in the report is really looking at Bitcoin and the inverse relationship with the dollar. The dollar position is really key right now, and the dollar is likely to be gaining strength. That means Bitcoin is likely to be losing strength over the coming 6 to 8 weeks. So we are due some type of downward movement. Why is that important? And by the way, this is free, so you can get that membership, and I update it weekly or where there's relevant information for Bitcoin. Why that's important is when I'm looking at Fantom over here. I was doing this analysis yesterday with my community, and we've had this move up, a correction. Remember what I said at the beginning? 5s and 3s. We've had this big surge up over here. It was a big surge at the time, and then a correction, and it looks like a nice wave 4. And then we've had panic buying an overextended wave 5 in a typical maximum zone over here, both price and time. So we are now due a correction. We also have the momentum position. I just want to show you this. I'm just going to go into a weekly chart in the top left-hand corner. And I want to just focus on this part of the market over here. Momentum measures rate of change, the way price is accelerating and decelerating. And there's something called overbought and oversold. In other words, when these two lines over here, the blue and the red line, go above this black line over here, that's referred to as overbought. And we are due some type of correction. And when that coincides with pattern and price position, all of a sudden, we have a strong confluence of events where we're likely to get some type of correction. And by the way, in your free Bitcoin membership, I've also included some basic training on Elliott wave theory. So you'll get these key lessons on Elliott wave and Fibonacci price as well. So you can really see how to read the markets like a pro, so you can understand what's very likely to happen next. So that can influence your buying and selling decision making. So now let's just do what is expected with Fantom. Now, it's important to note that this top over here has not been confirmed. It has not been confirmed. What I mean by that is we want to see something called an overbalance of price, of movement to the downside that's bigger than any former movement to the downside. And ideally, this one over here seems to be the biggest. So when we get a bigger movement than this one over here, that will be the first strong confirmation, taking out some swing lows. But we can start looking at this in a logical way to say, right, you maybe want to be locking in some profits or be prepared for some type of pullback. So now just let's look at what would be the typical pullback if this does top out where it is right now. So what I'm going to do here, and we'll finish on this, is a bit of what we did at the beginning was price. Most corrections are a minimum of 50%. And in time, most corrections take a minimum of 38.2% in time. So what does that mean in English? Well, what it means in English is what we saw over here. When I did this video a year ago, this was more on a macro scale. Right now, we're looking at this tiny little move over here. But this was a macro 5-wave move and a macro 3-wave correction. But the same applies on a smaller degree of wave count. That's really, really important to note because the psychology applies. It's called different degrees of wave counts. So what we're anticipating, because this move here was overextended. Normally, wave 3s are the most impulsive wave structure. When wave 5s are the most impulsive wave structure, common in commodities, but also in crypto, when there's panic buying, the first leg down tends to be quite aggressive, and then the next leg down. So that's what I'm anticipating with Fantom. Some type of 3-wave move to the downside, and the correction to really take to the beginning, maybe even to the tail end of March. So we're talking about 6 to 8 weeks of sideways to down. Again, it doesn't mean Fantom can't shoot up to the upside. Let me just bring up some momentum indicators as well. Just want to have a quick look at this. I've created something called a trend identifier dashboard, and it just makes it easier for us to read the momentum indication. So weekly is overbought. The daily is strong bear, which means basically the blue line's gone below the red. So these are extra 2 points that indicate we got pattern, price, time, and momentum indicating that Fantom has reached a local top that may last 6 to 8 weeks, some type of correction. But if this correction occurs like this, at that point in March, we'll review at that time, then we'll anticipate a continuation of the former trend. And that's what I mean by the markets typically go in cycles and trends. And you want to have an objective mechanism that's logical that you can see the market through. And my favorite by far is Elliott wave theory. So if you found today helpful, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's finish on a quote from today. We're going to go with chapter number 3. We're going to go chapter number 3 from my book. It's Confucius. And he says, "It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop." So when you get the free Bitcoin weekly report, and again, it gets updated when there's relevant information. I aim to do it at least once a week. It's quite new. I'm still learning to give you the most amount of value because the bull market is coming. We're going to make a lot of money in the bull market, but we need to prepare and anticipate. But what I've also included is some basic training on Elliott wave theory and the Fibonacci price. Because if you can understand some of the key basics, you can see what's happening in the market and prepare what action you should be looking to take.